I was a victim of childhood sexual assault from the time I was 7 until I was 11 years old. I'm Calix Cantu, the founder of Stronger Than the Silence.
I'm Calix Cantu, Miss Northeast Texas Outstanding Teen.
So I was raised in church, grew up with a Christian family, but the church I went to specifically, my uncle was the preacher at. And at that time, I couldn't understand God's love, because the man that was telling me about the creator of the world, the man that was telling me about who loves us the most, was abusing me. And I went through that from the time I was 7 until I was 11 years old. And so it was really hard for me to understand love because of the way that love was shown to me as a child, or what I thought was love. And so I continued and I grew up, and I always kept my silence out of fear of the judgment and the things that people would say about me. So when I was in middle school, one of my friends, Chloe, was diagnosed with glioblastoma multiforme, terminal brain cancer. In 2017, she passed away after I begged God to let me switch spots with her. And I couldn't understand why someone that loved him so much was getting more pain than I ever could have imagined. And I was angry, and I couldn't understand. And so I became really depressed, and I didn't go anywhere, and I couldn't trust anyone, and I centered everything around myself because I thought I couldn't trust anyone around me. Until May of that year, following year, we had a church-centered event at our school, and her older sister shared her testimony, and then she read Chloe's. And in that moment, I realized it wasn't about her dying, even though she loved him. It was about her never losing faith in him, even though she was dying, because she knew that she was going home. And on that night, May 15th, 2018, I was saved. The following summer, I went to church camp, where I admitted for the first time that I had been abused. And I said it out loud, and I thought my whole world was going to fall apart. I spent the majority of my freshman year in and out of meetings with attorneys and meeting with therapists and counselors and anybody that could help me make sense of this. The next January, I went on a mission trip where I was asked to share my testimony for the first time. And it was really scary, but people started to respond. It made me realize the power behind sharing how God has influenced your life. And so even though it was the hardest part of my life and I was struggling so much, I knew that I wasn't alone because God was watching me. That next summer, I went back to the same church camp, and I was baptized on July 22nd of 2021 in the creek at the camp that I first ever admitted my abuse at. My life completely changed. Since then, I've been able to continue sharing my testimony and how God has used my pain for power, my trauma for testimony. And in that, I've been able to help other people. I founded a non-profit organization called Stronger Than the Silence, where I travel to schools and different groups and explain my trauma with sexual assault and how we can prevent it in different communities. I've also been able to compete on the Miss Texas stage, share this story in front of lots of people, but not this many. Since then, I've been slowly getting closer and closer to him every day and truly seeing small and big changes in my life. And I will still struggle. I was diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and it really took over my life for a long time. But I realized that life isn't about being perfect because you're Christian. Life is about knowing that God loves you regardless of the things that you're going through. I've invited 3 very important ladies that helped me with my story today, and I have a gift for each of them. Carly. I want to thank you for teaching me, A, making me laugh all the time, and B, teaching me that it is okay to cry.
Thank you. Let me give you a hug.
Next, Tabitha. Thank you for helping me get my justice. And lastly, Kelly. for believing me when my family didn't, and for defending me down to the last minute when we took that plea deal in that room, when there were people that said that we were lying, and you never let them talk over us. So thank you for standing up for us when we couldn't. I want to thank these 3 women for being my voice before I found it for myself. And today I plan to be that voice for other people until they find their own.